What's up guys, my name's Dychronic here on this Destiny video, and today we're going to be talking about the This Week at Bungie for May 3rd, 2018. A lot of stuff to talk about today, from the different things like the Warmind narrative updates, to different developer insights, to a bunch of different updates like the exotic weapon rebuffing, the Nightfall modifiers coming back with disadvantages and advantages, new things, 5 of swords, stupid things like that, and finally the prismatic matrix with a new Eververse system. Lots of cool stuff to talk about in this video, so make sure you stay tuned because it's going to be quite important to know once May 8th comes and goes. So starting off, the first thing you probably want to look at are a couple of different links. If you haven't caught up to This Week at Bungie and you haven't been looking at what they've been talking about, there's a bunch of different links that will tell you about it. This one will tell you about the different Season 3 rewards if you want to talk about like the Valor, the different Crucible stuff. This one will talk about Expansion 2, what exactly the new lore stuff you're going to be getting. If you want to look at the different activities you're going to be getting, there's a couple more links down below. Narrative preview looks like a script. The new comic, if I don't think there's any emblem in this one yet, but could be wrong. I've maybe not been told about it. If you want to check it out, it's about Anna Bray. Get an inside look on the story. Down here, you'll see things like developer insights. Mostly they'll be like, hey, dude, we did so much stuff. I really hope you like it. Let us know how we can do better and whatnot. It's a quick video. There's 2 of them here. They're 2 different videos, by the way. They start kind of similar with this little opening, but they're developer insights. They talk about some stuff not too interesting, but they are pretty short, 3 minutes and almost 4 minutes here. I would recommend taking a look. So in here, there's actually going to be a bunch of different patch note previews. These are actually one of the most important things. I didn't expect half of these things, so make sure you pay attention to these. Firstly, your vault space is going from 200 to 300. We thought initially it was going to be 50 more. It's actually 100 more. Multi-emote is here, pretty much self-explanatory. Guided games, this is a big one. Now they're going to have an emblem that tracks it, and it will give you an aura for 14 days after you're completing it as a raid, or as a guide. And then finally, once a week, when the aura is active, guiding a raid completes, gives you 1 bright engram. We finally have a reward for doing guided games. Holy crap, I've been talking about this for since it came out, for months. They're gonna have it. So hopefully we'll see how that works. Hopefully this is not just the raid, because I'd love to do some Nightfall guided games, but obviously the raid is more intensive and you can't just do Nightfalls all the time because they're a lot faster. New inventory category, so those exotic quests won't be clogging up your inventory and whatnot. Pursuits category specific to each character, not even across all characters, so you won't have like multiple, Acreuses kind of floating around, so it's per character, which is really nice. Some of these in-game audio stuff being adjustable, apparently they were really bad. Big note right here, weekly lockouts for raid and raid lair rewards are now class-based. Now this says only for raid and raid lair, but if you have yourselves 3 hunters, you cannot go to all 3 raids on 3 different hunters and get the rewards. Players running multiple characters of the same class will receive only 1 time when they run the raid or raid lair in a given week. This is huge. Everybody that I know seems to be running 3 hunters or 3 titans, or I think Mesa Sean's running like 3 warlocks. What a loser, am I right? I love you, Mesa Sean. It was a joke. But yes, this is big. A buddy of mine who runs 3 hunters just changed to a titan. He's probably looking pretty smart right now, because hot damn, you're gonna need to get 1 of each character to get some rewards. And if you don't care, you can pretty much just leave those other characters. I believe you can do the other things on them, like the flashpoint and whatnot. They don't say anything besides the raid and raid lair. Coming up next is going to be more exotic weapon changes. First one up is going to be the Risk Runner. Give the Arc Conductor an increased resistance to incoming arc damage by 50% and enabled it in Crucible. Arc Conductor will also be active when the weapon is stowed, but the damage resistance only works when the weapon is in your hands. This is already a strong gun for PvE, so they're hoping that these changes give it a place in some interesting Crucible loadout strategies and encounters. Me personally, it sounds like I'm never going to be running arc weapons in the Crucible ever again. Aside from probably the Wardcliff and the Acreus, since those one-shot you pretty much always anyways. Although it's interesting. Perhaps maybe the Acreus won't one-shot people with this on. Wouldn't that be a weird thing that would happen? Coming up next, we have this sweet business. If you run this gun, you probably want to shoot forever, and well, they gave it a capped inventory of 999 bullets. It's not forever, but it's a lot. Now, I'm very confused by this gameplay. It's clear that this is a Titan, so he could have the Axiom War Rig. You can see the ammo kind of slowly ticking up as he's firing it, but I also noticed that it goes back up to maximum somewhat randomly. Perhaps they're adjusting the Axiom War Rig as an exotic. They're actually making an exotic adjustment to it. Or perhaps this is something else entirely. It does not seem like he has the buff for the Rally Barricade, although he does have Rally Barricade. I'm not sure how he's getting so many bullets for such a long time. Can anybody let me know what this is? Is this new? Is this something that I stumbled upon? Is this me being a god? Either way, sweet business, looking good, looking good. Lots of people want to fire it for a long period of time. Hopefully this rises up into doing the DPS that everybody loves. Next is going to be the Darcy sniper rifle that I personally have never actually used. Apparently it shows weak points and it will highlight it in whatever. When the update hits, the sniper rifle will then grant 4 times damage once locked onto a target. Not exactly sure how lock-on works. I assume you just kind of stare at it for a while. Maybe you hear some beeping on it. And after a while, you'll be locked on and you can do 4 times damage. So this is going to be the DPS phase of Argos. You can see in the background, it seems to do pretty well. I can definitely see some people in Crucible just destroying groups of enemies with it. However, I would like to also say that locking on to an enemy means you have to be staring at them for a while. And again, you might as well just aim for the head at that point. With that out of the way, we have something very exciting coming up. As a personal favorite of mine, Nightfalls have been my favorite thing to do lately, and they are adding back the advantages and disadvantages that you've seen in past Nightfalls or past Heroic Strikes. Things like, for example, the burns will be able to be active, actually they're called singes now. Outgoing, ongoing, advantages like Brawler, making it so you can punch harder, or Grenadier, you can have better grenades and recharge rate and damage. You can also have disadvantages like Iron, enemies no longer stagger, have bigger health pools. Lots of really cool things. I just noticed this one, Blackout. Enemies do 20 times melee damage. That's ridiculous. Holy goddamn. Anyways, this is all part of the new legendary Nightfall card. So if you guys have to go and get it from the Zur, have it upgraded from the Zur, and he'll give you something called the 5 of Swords, where you can equip it to it. Basically, you just take the old blue one and you turn it into a legendary one, and it seems like there is a lot of things. There's also a bunch of unique challenge cards at disadvantages. So for Nightfalls, very specifically, you got Extinguish, Famine, Match Game, Attrition, and Momentum. I can't wait to see how Match Game works, making it so players must use the damage type on the enemy shields. I'm not sure if this is going to negate kinetic damage and the other damage entirely. That would actually change the game entirely. That would be an incredible thing where you have to have multiple teammates with different damage types just to be able to get through certain things, and that's a game changer instead of just going all arc when it's arc cinch. But again, these are disadvantages that you can choose, and it seems from what it said, you can choose 3 disadvantages and then 1 advantage. We'll have to wait and see if the different disadvantages and advantages are weighted differently. If they're not weighted differently, for the most part, you can avoid the ones that kind of suck. And then finally, you can see down here, I just wanted to mention, this is the burn, so it doesn't count as either. This is the advantage, and then of course these are the 2 disadvantages. I assume you can have 1 more disadvantage. I think that that's what they said above. Yeah, so right here it says 1 advantage, disadvantage, and 2 additional disadvantages. And then finally, a thing I forgot to mention up here, Heroic Strikes are going to start to feel more heroic. So they're going to have that rotating cool list of things that these things are going to add to it. But they're also going to have the enemies be more aggressive. So perhaps the Heroic Strikes will actually give you a run for the money instead of just literally just being an absolute cakewalk. And then finally, I think the last part on the Nightfall stuff, they talk about the new Nightfall par score update. It seems that they're changing it, so instead of just having random chances of dropping at higher levels, they're actually going to be awarding the different variants and drops and the different score stuff and par and aura and all this stuff. They're going to be adjusting it to these 4 levels. Now, they have not spoken about what these 4 levels are. Perhaps this is the new aura level. Perhaps this is the new unique Nightfall drop increased chance aura drop thing. Maybe this is the first 2 emblem variants or a higher chance of the 2. I'm not too sure how this is going to work, but there are 4 distinct different things, and it is a blanket statement across all Nightfalls, even though some Nightfalls are harder than others. Lastly, I would like to mention that it is a 200,000 score is the top one. With these new advantages and disadvantages, one could only assume that this is going to make it so you have an even higher multiplier, and that these high scores will change in the future as these new advantages and disadvantages trickle in to allow you to make things harder than they were before. And finally on Nightfalls, the top scores, we have these people here, some PCs, some consoles. My buddy Blag, still really close, never finding his place in the top 3. one of these days, my friend, one of these days, you will find yourself among the top of the top. And lastly, the very last part is going to be about the prismatic matrix. This, from what I understand, is kind of a replacement for Eververse. The way this works is it basically has a stock of 10 different items that are in a knockout setting. So basically, anytime that you would earn a bright engram, I believe, instead of getting just a bright engram, which apparently you'll still be getting bright engrams, you'll also be getting one of these 10 items. Once you've gotten one of them, they will be removed from the list, and you'll only have the rest of the items. So you get one of them will be removed, and then there's 9 left. So as you go along, you're more and more guaranteed to get the items that you want, and they're being knocked out, and I believe they reset every single week. So if there is something on this list that you really wanted, you can grind super hard this list this week and grind out this list to get a very specific set of items. With the well-rested bonus, I can only assume this is account-wide. You can get pretty much 9 of those bright engram drops or level ups with the well-rested bonus and get pretty much all of them without having to try very hard, and then the last one will be a little bit harder. And that was their solution to give people more of a reason to grind out these things instead of just having a total blanket random chance of getting stuff. They wanted to show you a thing of a total list of things that you can get from and actually get one of these items guaranteed and knock them out. So it's kind of a duplicate protection as well as the bright engrams dropping for you. And as a last note, Eververse will increase her stock from 14 to 18 items, so you'll have more of an opportunity to buy the specific items that you want with the bright dust if you do go end up getting them. I know somebody in the comments was looking for that chest piece for quite a few weeks in a row, and maybe if they have more slots, maybe they'll offer more of that armor set at a time, but I'm not too sure how it's going to work. And that's pretty much it. There's not much more to talk about. The rest of it is going to be like update times when they're going to be doing things like the storage requirements for the different consoles and different updates, Masterwork weapons, lots of different things. They're going to be talking about known issues and whatnot. This is all just kind of detailed stuff. That's the end of it. If you had a question, please leave it in the comments down below. I would be happy to answer any of those for you. And of course, my name's been Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.